Okay, so I am going to introduce our speaker today, Holly. I was going to read our description of the village, but since we're all village members, I'm going to skip that and go straight to Holly. Uh, she's going to talk on self-hypnosis for self-care. Learn about the myths that surround hypnosis and how hypnosis can support many aspects of your life. In this talk or workshop, you will learn a basic self-hypnosis technique for relaxation and how you can use self-hypnosis for other positive effects. Holly is a licensed marriage and family therapist, has trained hypnotherapists for over 3 decades at HCH Institute. She is the author of Spiritual Hypnotherapy Scripts for Body, Mind, and Spirit. She is passionate about teaching people to heal themselves and to empower their lives with more joy, peace, and love. Now, I want to say that I've known Holly for over 30 years and taken a lot of her classes, and we've been great friends. And I think she is so talented in hypnosis. I can't even begin to describe it. So I want to welcome my friend and hypnotherapist, Holly Holmes-Meredith, to talk to us today.
Thanks, Janice. Thank you all. So those of you who just got online, if you would get a pen and some paper, or pencil and some paper, because we're going to be doing some creating positive suggestions together today. And I am very curious to know how many of you have experienced hypnosis formally. Somebody's hypnotized you.
Definitely have. Alan Sands here.
Okay, great. Okay. And for how many of you is this a first run, first experience? Great. Okay. So I just want to give you an overview of what hypnotherapy is, talk about some of the myths and misconceptions. I'm going to teach you how to create different aspects of a hypnosis session for yourself. I will do a group hypnosis with you to get you started, and then I'll take it through again for you to do it on your own. And there's going to be plenty of time for you to ask questions and share your experiences at the end. So if you've got questions, write them down. And at the end of our first hypnosis experience, we'll have an opportunity for you guys to talk about what came up for you and what you'd like to get more clarification on. And my goal today is for this to be fun and easy for you. So I've prepared a visual that I will bring up on the screen now. That didn't work. Let's try it again. Just a sec, I'm having a little technical difficulty here. Even with all the practicing I do, it doesn't work here. Okay, let me make sure this is on the background here. Okay, here we go. There we go. Okay, you see that on your screen now?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, so here we go. So first of all, I'll give you a very simple definition of what hypnotherapy is, or hypnosis. It's a state of focused awareness in which you're highly receptive to positive suggestions for promoting positive change. And hypnosis is natural. Many of you have already been hypnotized in your daily life because it's that state right between wake and sleep. And many of you probably have the experience of drifting off to sleep, and then someone comes in to ask you a question and you can still respond to them, but you're not in your normal conscious waking state. That state, that liminal state, is what hypnosis is. And we go into it a lot in our daily life. For instance, if you are super into computer games and you lose time because you're sitting playing games for a long period of time, you're probably in a state of hypnosis with your eyes open. Or if you're daydreaming, or if you're driving on the freeway and you forget the turnoff, or you forget that you've gone over an overpass because you're so engaged in your thought process, that's highway hypnosis. I even remember learning about that in high school when I took my driver's ed classes, that people go into a state when they're driving that is very hypnotic. You're still in control of the car, but your mind's engaged in something else. And then also when we lose track of time in our daily activities. I like to think of hypnosis when I'm at the movies and I'm so engrossed in the movie that I forget I'm in a movie. I think I'm actually there and I'm having emotional reactions and being totally engaged in the characters and the dialogue, which is another example of how we can slip into this very focused, expanded state. So even though you don't maybe have not formally been hypnotized, you've been in hypnosis. It's a very natural state. And when you practice the skill of hypnosis, what you'll learn is that all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. The hypnotherapist is not doing anything to you. You're allowing yourself to move into a state because you're willfully opening to it. And there are lots of people who think they can't be hypnotized, but it's a skill. And I see this very clearly when I teach my students to become hypnotherapists, because the first day of class, when they have their first hypnotic experience, many of them have difficulty going into this relaxed state. And by the end of 200 hours, which is how long my trainings are, they become experts at it because they've had so much practice and they've learned so much about the subtleties and the skills of being a hypnotee. So when you are in hypnosis, you still have your free will. You have the free will to choose to follow the instructions, to bring yourself out of hypnosis, to suggest to yourself that you want to let go and go more deeply into the experience. And you also have the capacity to be discerning about what suggestions you respond to and what you do not respond to. And the reason hypnotherapy has such a bad rap is because it can actually be misused in very extreme situations where people use this state of consciousness for mind control. And I just want to affirm to you that those are very extreme circumstances that require lots of isolation. Sometimes it requires torture of sorts. It's very restrictive in so many ways how people can respond in those situations. And the kind of hypnosis that you're going to be learning is one where your free will is completely engaged and completely free to choose to respond or not. So this free will is connected to what could be called your inner hypnotist, which is the part of you that says, I can and will and choose to allow myself to relax. Or maybe this part of you says, I don't feel comfortable with this. I choose to not go into hypnosis because you're feeling that or thinking that, and so you will not respond. Since your own free decision is engaged, you will only respond when you want to respond. And that's true today. So there are many, many benefits to hypnotherapy. Any kind of presenting issue that I see with a client in therapy can be supported with the skill of hypnotherapy. And I will often teach a client these skills so that he or she can use these skills on their own for their own self-healing and empowerment. But here's some examples of some of the areas that are pretty typically engaged with hypnotherapy. Certainly sleep enhancement. And if any of you are having issues with sleep right now, that's possibly what you'd like to focus on today. Physical healing, working through grief and loss issues, enhancing your creativity and your skills, increasing your spiritual awareness and your intuitive abilities can be supported with hypnotherapy. You can heal all the childhood wounds of your past, any limiting beliefs that have come out of your childhood. Certainly can help with anxiety relief or panic attacks. Healing of trauma, any kind of trauma, including pain management, which is very, very effective with hypnotherapy, habit control, and stress management. So today, for your hypnotherapy experience, I'm going to suggest that you pick an area in your life that would be enhanced potentially by this process. And some examples might be feeling more comfort in your body if you're having any issues with pain, or having more ease in your activity on a daily basis, having better sleep, or possibly feeling more energetic. There might be something else you choose beyond those ideas, but I'm just giving you some suggestions of what might be a focus for you today. So think about that. And when we get to the place where we'll be creating positive suggestions, you can use that as a focus for your exercise of self-hypnosis today. Okay. Now, one of the first things that needs to be addressed with a client who comes in for hypnotherapy is to uncover any myths or misconceptions that he or she may have. Because the myths and misconceptions are definitely going to potentially be blocks to having an experience. So I'm going to talk about some of these myths and misconceptions and then reframe them to some truths about how hypnosis works. The first myth is that you're going to lose control and that the hypnotherapist is going to be driving the boat, so to speak. That is absolutely not true. You are not under the spell of anything except yourself. And what I like to think about when people come in is that they're already hypnotized to have limiting beliefs, or they're already hypnotized to have a phobia. And really what hypnotherapy is going to do is dehypnotize them. So I like to reframe it that way. But the control is in the hypnotee, not in the hypnotherapist. And one of the other myths is that you can't be hypnotized. And this is very interesting because if you get into the medical literature on hypnotherapy and who can be hypnotized and who can't, the researchers are using very specific techniques as controls for their experiments. And in my experience as a clinician, there's no way in heaven that I would stick to just one technique because every client is different in how they respond. So I think much of the medical research in hypnotherapy is very skewed as a clinician because of that. If I have a client who does not respond well to a specific technique, or they're having trouble with it for whatever reason, I'll try something else. And we have to find what, in navigating that territory, find what works for the client, find what they can respond to. So I know that everyone can be hypnotized if they choose to be hypnotized and if they get a technique that they're comfortable with and they have some practice. And that's because I've seen so many of my students start at the beginning of a hypnotherapy training having trouble being hypnotized. And by the end, they become very, very facile at it. The other thing is that people wonder if it's just your imagination when you're hypnotized. And I say, heavens, yes, it is your imagination. That's the link between your conscious and your subconscious. And you want to engage your imagination because through your imagination, there's a lot more flexibility, much more creativity that you can access. That is really a resource that for some of us is not that easy to get to. So when people say, I think I'm making it up, I say, of course you're making it up. It's coming right through your unconscious. This is your experience. So trust it, go with it, don't fight it. And then the one that's interesting is people say, well, you're going to hypnotize me and I won't remember what you did. So I'm worried that you're going to do something or say something that's going to be harmful to me. And people will remember their hypnosis experiences unless they're being tricked in some way, misdirected in some way, or if they're in one of those circumstances that studies have been done where there's mind control going on because of extreme circumstances. But you will remember it. You can choose to remember it. You may go to a state where you don't remember it very clearly, like when you awaken from a dream, you might just have little bits and pieces of the dream, but it's still there. You will remember it. And most hypnotherapists will suggest that you will remember it because the point of hypnotherapy is to have the benefits of it in your daily life. Why would you want to forget it? So hypnosis will include suggestions of remembering, especially the positive aspects of your hypnosis experience. And you can choose to come out of hypnosis at any time. You can open your eyes at any time you need to or want to. And as I said earlier, it's a skill, and it's a skill you can develop. And I think about my skill in grade school of hitting a baseball, which was not that great, but I learned how to do it. So with practice, especially with hypnotherapy, with practice, you can be a more competent, more trusting of your process and get more benefits. So I'm going to encourage all of you to do some practice after you meet today so you can get your chops together and get some really good benefits of it. When you go into hypnosis, you're going to have a unique way of experiencing it. And the way that you will experience it is through your inner senses. We call this a AVKTO, which stands for auditory, visual, kinesthetic, taste, and olfactory. And to be successful in a session, the hypnotherapist really needs to pay attention to how the client responds so that he or she can utilize language and suggestions that will align with the client's way of experiencing. And the first exercise I'd like to do with all of you today is to give you an opportunity to discover for yourself what kind of representational systems or inner experiences of senses you access when you're in a hypnotic state. So we're going to do just a little exercise together. And for this, you can close your eyes if you want. It'll probably be a little more effective if you close your eyes, knowing you can open them at any time. And I invite you to recall an experience in your life of experiencing a particularly memorable sunset. So let yourself go back in time, and there've probably been many sunsets that you've witnessed, but just think of one time and one place, at one point in your life, where you experienced a particularly beautiful sunset. And let that memory come into your focus. Recall where you are. And take yourself into that environment again. Step into it. And recall whether you are seated or standing or lying down, or whether you're still or moving in your experience of this sunset. Recall the weather that you're experiencing, the temperature of the air, the fragrances, any sounds that you hear around you, or silence. And also recall if this is an experience where you're by yourself or if you're with others, who they are. And if there are others present, be aware of any dialogue or conversation that you might have shared. And as you experience the sunset, tune into the colors and the textures and the quality of lighting that changes as the sun sets. And to also be very aware of your emotions and the body's sensations that you have in this moment of exquisite beauty. And as you have this memory now, what for you is the essence of it? What's the most wonderful part of this experience? Is it what you see? What you hear? Or what you feel in this moment? And as you focus in on your inner senses of this sunset memory, the area that's most vivid for you, the strongest sense, could very possibly be your main hypnotic sense through which you experience hypnosis. And we'll be playing with this a little bit as we move forward with our self-hypnosis journey today. So bring an awareness back with you about your experience, and when you're ready, just gently open your eyes and return to the room. Now, without a formal induction or any suggestions of deepening, this was a little mini hypnotic experience. You don't need to have an induction to go into that state if you willingly want to go back to a memory, for instance. So write down for yourself on that paper which of these modalities, the auditory, visual, kinesthetic, taste, or olfactory, seem to be the most dominant for you, the one that had the most oomph to it. So knowing your own natural ways of experiencing the state of hypnosis with your inner senses is helpful because you can create suggestions that will emphasize those parts of your experience. Okay, so building on understanding those representational systems or inner senses, we're going to talk a little bit about how to make effective suggestions for hypnotherapy. And these suggestions don't necessarily restrict you to using them for hypnotherapists. These are really good suggestions for making language patterns in your daily life as well. So the first one, what's super important, is to always make positive statements. Go towards what you want, not away from what you don't want. So an example, if you're having discomfort in your body, would be, I feel comfort, instead of, I don't want to feel pain, or I don't feel pain. So you're going away from pain rather than towards the comfort. So you want to go towards the positive. The second is to always use present tense, because if you use future tense, it's always the carrot that's out there you're trying to go towards. So in present tense, it would be, I am comfortable and relaxed. Make simple statements with positive emotional focuses. For example, I enjoy being in hypnosis. My eyes close easily and naturally. So you emphasize positive emotional states and ease. And then you want to emphasize your dominant inner senses. So if you were visual today, you'd want to emphasize what you're seeing in your experience. If you were kinesthetic, you would want to emphasize what you're feeling in your body or emotionally. And if it's auditory, you're going to focus on the sounds, whether they're inner sounds or outer sounds. So here's some examples. I feel relaxed in my body. That's kinesthetic. I see colors of the flowers. That's visual. And feel the coolness of the wind. That's kinesthetic. So if you emphasize what you naturally are inclined to experience, it'll be more successful. One of the problems people have with creative visualizations is that the person who's doing the meditation may not be trained in these modalities, and he or she will unconsciously be using their representational systems, implying that you need to have their experience. And many people who go through these creative visualizations say, it doesn't work for me because I can't see a thing. Well, if the language was more open and inclusive of these other representational systems, you probably would have an experience. So the skill of the presenter of the creative visualization needs to be able to use all of these systems for people to have an experience. Otherwise, you're going to lose a good part of the population who won't have an experience. So when you do self-hypnosis, you're using the pronoun I or my, referring to yourself. When I'm working with a client, I use the pronoun you because I'm speaking to them. But internally, you would speak to yourself as I when you're giving your suggestions. So now, I'm giving you an opportunity to focus on whatever you want to do hypnosis for today, and take a few minutes to write 3 positive suggestions that are going to focus on the positive outcome that you want using present tense, including your way of experiencing with your senses, keeping it simple and positive. And you will start with I or my. So take a few minutes to write this down for yourself. Just keep them real simple and have them all be focused on the same outcome. Don't mix your wanting to help your sleep with having an ache in your knee. Keep them separate. So just choose one thing for this exercise today. When you finish, check your work and make sure that it's in present tense, that you've used the pronoun I or referred to yourself as my, that it's positive, that it's moving towards what you want, not away from what you don't want. And that in some way that works for you, you've included some of your inner sensing suggestions, whether you feel it or see it or hear it. Taste and olfactory are very tertiary and not often that is utilized as much, but you might have very strong senses of smell and taste that you can include. Now, I can't see everybody's hand here. I don't know if the Zoom host can, but raise your hand if you need more time. Anybody need more time? Okay. Is it okay to go ahead then? Okay, put your suggestions aside. You'll be using those shortly. Okay, now, so far we've gone over some of the myths of hypnosis. I've talked to you about the AVKTO and the representational systems of how we experience trance. You've done some creating of your own suggestions. And all of this is going to be added to the rest of this process, which is going to be how to actually put it all together. One more piece we're going to add before we actually do an induction is to work with what's called an anchor, or a post-hypnotic suggestion. And one of the benefits of hypnosis, obviously, is that when you're out of the hypnotic state, you want to experience the positive things that you've programmed with your suggestions. And one way you can do that is by having what's called an anchor or a post-hypnotic cue. And I'm going to teach you all how to create an anchor. And for this anchor, you'll have a physical movement of touching your heart area with one of your hands, just placing your hand over your heart. That's going to be your physical anchor. And this focus of this anchor is going to be the state of being calm and relaxed. So when you want to feel calm and relaxed, let's say you're sitting waiting for something and you're getting antsy, and you're starting to feel some anxiety. All you'll have to do is close your eyes and work with your anchor post-hypnotically, and you can return to the state of being calm and relaxed. So it's a very practical tool, and one that the more you use, the more deeply learned the response is. And this is used a whole lot with hypnosis, that every session that you have will potentially have something you want to bring back into your conscious daily life and have access to. And the reality is we've got anchors all over the place in our life. How many of you get a reaction to the sound of a dentist drill? How many of you have a reaction to the sound of a fire engine going by? How many of you have ever traveled to Hawaii? Remember the minute you step off the plane, that smell in the air of Hawaiian air. Or maybe it's from remembering a song from high school that brings back some emotional memories. So we've got anchors all over the place in our life. And using them hypnotically is a way to empower positive anchors for yourself that you would choose other than some of the negative anchors that are already wired in there. For instance, I just worked with a gentleman last week who in his 50s developed a highway phobic response to driving. He starts to have panic attacks when on the freeway. And I use this whole technique of anchoring to help him have positive states he could experience while he's driving, not when he's in trance, that he will activate by touching specific places on his body. Instead of the heart place, we did some other anchors that he can use as a way to basically wash out the old response to highway driving that was his conditioned response as a phobia now. It was very effective for him. So today I'm going to take you through this for calm and relaxed. So again, close your eyes when you're ready. And this time, go to a time or a memory when you experienced the epitome of being relaxed. Think of one of the most relaxing experiences of your life. And again, as you think of it, step into the memory. Don't watch it or just recall it, but step into it. Let your body be there in that memory. And you'll activate all the AVKTO by imagining what you see around you. The colors, the textures, the positioning of whatever you're looking at around you, the spaces. What you hear in this environment, internally and externally. And if you're hearing sounds, be aware of the volume of the sounds and the effect of these sounds on you, supporting your calm and relaxed state. Also feel the temperature of the air and any fragrances in the air. And recall the position of your body in this experience as you feel it now. Your heart rate, your breathing, the sensation of the muscles in your body. Noticing if your body is stationary and still or if there's movement. Associate as fully as possible by being in this memory so that it's real for you in a way right here, right now. And having accessed this memory as fully as possible, when you're ready, take your hand and place it over your heart area. Be aware of exactly where and how you're touching it so that you can Do this again at will to come back to this calm and relaxed state. And as you touch your heart area, be aware of the details of this experience and of all the details, which is the one that's most prominent in your awareness? What's the essence for you of being calm and relaxed? That essence you'll bring back with you as a way to help you re-access this state. Calm and relaxed. When you're ready, take your hand off your heart and very gently bring yourself back into the room. Open your eyes. So take a moment to jot down a little bit about this memory of being calm and relaxed, and write down what for you was the best part of it, the strongest part, or the essence of your memory. This essence is important because this is what your unconscious came up with. Your conscious mind came up with the memory, but your unconscious mind came up with the essence of what that memory is for you. And you make note of whether the essence was a visual, a kinesthetic, or an auditory cue for you. Because you're starting to have a sense now of your own way of responding inwardly. Okay, now we're going to do what's called test the anchor. We're going to see if you got it. And the way you do it's very simple. In a moment, you'll close your eyes, touch your heart area, and think of the essence of being calm and relaxed for you. So let's do that together. Let's practice your anchor. When you're ready, touch your heart, close your eyes, and go back to the essence of calm and relaxed, and let it all come flooding back in. Where you are, what you see, how you feel in your body, temperatures, colors, textures, whatever came through to you. Calm and relaxed. Every time you use this anchor, the positive effects will exponentially grow available to you. It becomes a conditioned learned response that you can activate at will, anytime, anywhere. The more you use this anchor, the stronger it becomes. Calm and relaxed. Okay, so when you're ready, open your eyes and come back into the room. So we've just added another part of the skill of hypnosis, which is called anchoring. We're going to build in an anchor for your hypnosis in a little bit. Okay, so we're ready to do the actual self-hypnosis. And before I teach you to do it, I'll take you through it. This will be a process that will include an induction that has the purpose of shifting your focus from outer reality to inner reality. Deepening, which gives you the opportunity to expand that focus in an inner way. And then working with your suggestions, which you'll have close by that you can work with. And then an anchoring. And then a dehypnotizing. So that's what we're going to do together now. Go through all those steps, and I've got them very clearly outlined for you, so afterwards you can review this. But let's just start by sitting comfortably with your suggestions close by. You can use your hypnotic eye to peek at it if you need to. You've got your focus and your suggestions. And usually when you do hypnosis, you want to have your body in an open position. So uncross your legs and ankles, open your arms and have them by your side, because you want your circulation to flow, and you also want an energetic expression of your body of being open and receptive. And as you're sitting comfortably in an open posture, focus your eyes on a stationary spot, maybe above your computer, on the wall behind the computer, just a little spot on the wall. And as you focus your eyes, on each out breath, slowly count yourself from 1 to 5. When you get to the count of 5, or when you're ready, allow your eyes to close. Do this on your own, 1 to 5. Every out breath's a number. As your eyes are closed, be aware of focusing behind your eyelids and notice if there's any visual activity going on. You may see light or darkness. You may become aware of colors or textures or images. It may just be a soft inner void. So looking deeply within, continue to breathe easily. And you could imagine that your breath breathes in a color that will be specifically comforting for you. Imagine that color and breathe it in to any place in your body that wants to relax more or feel more comfort and well-being. Feel the growing relaxation as you breathe. Every breath can support your expanding, your relaxation, allowing you to be more and more present right here, right now. And keeping your eyes closed, go ahead and activate your anchor for being calm and relaxed. Touch your heart area. This will support your state of expanding into that calm, relaxed state of hypnosis. And you're free to move your hand down at any time you choose. As you continue on this journey, imagine that you're walking down a path. And every step supports you taking deeper and deeper movements within yourself. Every step allows you to expand and soften and move into the state we call hypnosis. You might imagine as you walk down this path that you can work with the metaphor of a yardstick, 36 inches. And every step you take, the numbers increase on this inner way of measuring your hypnotic depth. And you are free to move as far along this yardstick as you choose. The numbers increase as the depth increases. You're in charge of how far along the path, how deep along the measurements of the yardstick you choose to go. Just make note of the number that comes to mind that represents your level now. And while you move along the path, you can become aware of any sounds around you or silence, and allow the sounds to support your letting go even more. Be aware of the sensations of your body. Notice where in your body you feel the most comfort and relaxation. And as you continue to breathe in your color, breathe that color into areas you wish to be more comfortable and more relaxed. Letting that sensation of relaxation expand and grow through your whole body as you continue to relax and let go. Working with the metaphor of the yardstick anywhere between 6 and 12 is deep enough for most hypnosis sessions to be successful. So just notice where you are. Imagine going at least to a 6, maybe deeper. It's up to you. And that's when you will think to yourself, let your inner voice say to yourself your suggestions. So when you're ready, recall your suggestions. If you need to peek at them, you're welcome to do that. Let there be space between your suggestions. Speak them slowly, and let all of your senses experience the words and the feelings and the images. Be in the experience rather than observing it. Enjoy it. So take time now to repeat your suggestions a few times each. Reflect on your experience of hypnosis. What would you most like to bring back and have access to again from this hypnotic experience today? What do you most want to remember? What do you most want to manifest? Whatever that is for you, whether it's something you feel or see or hear or taste or smell, you will create an anchor for this. And this anchor will be to take your thumb and your pointer finger and put it together in the OK sign, either hand. This will be your anchor for this hypnosis experience and these positive suggestions to come to fruition in your outer life. This touch, and perhaps you'd like to connect a word or phrase with it. Or perhaps you'd like to connect a picture that comes to mind with it. And when you feel you have your anchor installed, you can let go of it for a moment. And think about your daily life over the next few days or weeks ahead. And imagine yourself wanting to reconnect with this hypnotic experience and using your anchor. So go ahead and practice that anchor for this hypnosis. Put your fingers, thumb back together. Think of your word or phrase, see your image, and let this hypnotic experience come flooding back into your awareness. And when you're ready, release your anchor You can count yourself slowly out of hypnosis by counting backwards from 5 to 1, opening your eyes on the count of 1 or when you're ready. Take a moment to reorient to the room after your eyes are open. And the rest of our time will be repeating this process very quickly. We'll do another little version of it. I'm just going to bring up the last slide here, which will be on the recorded video of it, so you can have access to this later. These are some resources for you if you want to use my CDs or know about my book, and also the website, which is going to be given to you, and the email is going to be given to you. So if you can have extra support from me, or we have a low-fee clinic that you can use online or in person in Lafayette at my institute for $40 a session. They provide hypnotherapy services and other energy therapies like Reiki, for instance, for the public. So if you're interested in some personal work, you can work with one of my graduates at this low-fee clinic. I'm going to stop sharing here and come back to all of you. And we'll be doing this again, but before we do the process again, I want to know if you have any questions about your experience or questions about hypnosis in general, or any anomalies that came up that you want to talk about. Joyce, you can unmute yourselves now, folks, if you want, so we can just have easy flow here. Did you want to say something, Joyce?
I was actually saying hello to my husband.
Oh. I'm conditioned to respond to that, believe me.
But I've written, I wrote a question that actually I'm trying to understand how it differs from meditation. I have a Buddhist practice, and
well, I also have a practice of meditation for many, many years. That's how I got into this. And the state of hypnosis and meditation is the same state of consciousness.
okay,
It's just you access it differently. And depending on the kind of hypnosis, if it's like mindful meditation, usually you're just staying present with what is.
right.
It's really an organic way to experience your unconscious. Let it just flow through you. Some forms of meditation are really more like hypnosis because you're going on a journey somewhere. But it's all the same consciousness. It's an expanded awareness. In hypnosis, it tends to be focused and utilized for specific outcomes, where in most meditation practices, it's just a state of being in that expanded state that's so healing.
Thank you.
So any meditator is very familiar with this state.
Thank you.
Yes.
What is the name of your clinic?
Well, my institute is called HCH Institute.
Okay.
It's in Lafayette. I train hypnotherapists. People come to experience hypnosis as well as clients. We also have an energy therapy program. We have a free clinic every Tuesday night online so that you can experience Reiki if you're interested. We have all kinds of other services, so you can check it out. See what it's all about. You're welcome. Other questions or comments about your experience of hypnosis today?
Yes. I was just going to comment. I used hypnosis several years ago, and I went somewhere in Walnut Creek, and I don't know if it could have been to you or somebody, but it was for fear of flying, and it really worked. I went to a few sessions, and then I got a little tape that I used whenever I flew, and now I don't use the tape anymore. It's just, so I really believe in hypnosis.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. Any other questions or comments?
Yep.
Leslie? Louisa?
Yeah.
Yep.
So if one goes into any sort of hypnosis or even meditation and you do not have a belief system, it won't work, basically. But
well, that's not true.
Or if you want it to work, that's not true.
If you engage in it directly with someone and you want it to work, it's more likely to work. If you don't want it to work, it won't. You're right. But we are under the spell of advertising all the time. We
Yes.
don't want to be under that spell, but we are under that spell because it's
Mm.
conditioning us to respond in certain ways by language, by images, by
Yes.
associations. So we're being hypnotized all the time,
All the time. Right.
all the time. So the question is, what I've learned is the more aware you are of this, the less likely you're to be gullible to all that because you can see
Exactly.
through it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you, did Dr. Frida Morris, did you ever meet her? Or,
She was my mentor, my teacher, and the founder of my
Oh.
institute. I became
Oh.
an owner of her school in 1986.
Oh,
Yes.
really? Oh,
Yeah.
I used to do exchanges with her with voice lessons and hypnosis
Well, she passed about probably 10
in
years.
Berkeley. In Berkeley.
Mhm.
Yep. Thank you so much. That was wonderful.
You're welcome. My joy.
I thought it was wonderful too. It was great.
Yes, it was wonderful.
Any more questions? Okay, let's do a final round. This time I'm just going to coach you through it. You can do it for yourself a little more. I won't be so directive about it. So have your suggestions close by. When you're ready, close your eyes and focus your eyes on a spot. And then using your out breath with each number, the out breath is when you relax and let go. Count to 5 and close your eyes by the count of 5. As your eyes are closed, you can begin the deepening, and there are a variety of ways you can do that. You can use your breathing and color. You can focus on your body sensations and breathe the relaxation into those areas that want to be more comfortable and relaxed. You can walk down the path, letting every step you take of this movement support your deepening. You can be aware of sounds or silence that support your inner movement. And you can work with the yardstick as a way to gauge your level, to deepen or lighten your trance. Moving deeper and deeper to the level where you feel most comfortable. And when you're ready, give yourself your positive suggestions with inwardly saying them to yourself. Reactivate your anchor for this hypnosis, your post-hypnotic cue, with your finger and your thumb. Any words or images that you connect with your anchor can come to mind. And looking forward to receiving the benefits of this self-hypnosis today. When you're ready, you can bring this renewed and relaxed state that you've achieved today back with you so that you can enjoy the rest of your day, letting your eyes open as you count yourself back from 5 to 1. Everybody back?
Mhm.
Yeah. How's everybody feeling?
Very relaxed.
Mhm.
Excellent. Excellent.
Like I won't be able to get out of my chair.
Well, we're not going to force you out, Cynthia. You can stay there as long as you want.
I might.
So sometimes people have what's called a hypnotic hangover.
Yeah, I
You
can
just
see
don't
that.
want to come out. You feel so good. You just want to float around in there. Can you imagine hypnotizing yourself to sleep at night and how that might be?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Can you imagine hypnotizing yourself after a stressful day at going through whatever your life is and wanting just to have a little hypnotic break and kind of recharge and renew yourself? The
Yeah.
last hypnosis we did was very short. It doesn't have to be a long, drawn out process. And when you engage in hypnotherapy, it's very different because hypnotherapy is a therapeutic, engaged process with a therapist who has skills to help guide you through the territory of, say, trauma, or guide you through the territory of working through a block of some kind. So it becomes more of an interactive process, very different than what we did today, but still utilizing that same consciousness and all that inner wisdom, that juice that we have in our conscious and unconscious selves to heal.
Mhm.
So in closing, are there any final questions that you're still living with here that I can support you through? Any more?
Mm.
Okay, so have fun with it.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. My
Thank you,
pleasure.
Holly.
You're so welcome.
That was great.
Wonderful.
It
Thank
was
you.
great. It was super.